Hi, I'm Troy. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't commit your ugly code. I'm Troy0820. Yeah, August 20th, that's my birthday. On all the things, Slack, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, follow me. I work with robots or writing JavaScript stuff at Emerging Technology Advisors. And what is ugly code? We tend to hear that a lot, and no one wants to write ugly code. I mean, usually when you think of it, it's stuff that's its syntax is all off, or it's formatted wrong. But ugly code can actually mean like clever code. Like if you use ternary expressions where it's too long and it's too verbose, where you don't understand what's going on in the string, that it can make it too difficult to understand. There's a quote, and I Googled this, and I don't even know who he is really, but his name is Brian Kernighan. He says, everyone knows that debugging is twice as hard as writing a program in the first place. So if you're clever as you can be when you write it, how will you ever debug it? So what if you write a rule that would stop you from making these horrible stuff and prevent you from from writing clever, ugly code? Well, there is a tool that does that. It's ESLint. And it's not a new JavaScript standard that getting all the stuff out your clothes. It's actually it's actually SCA, which stands for a static code analysis tool that actually helps you stop writing bad stuff. And there's a number of tools. It's cool because it's pluggable. It was started by Nicholas Zakis. It's not up there, but that's who he is. If you go up there, you'll see that he contributed to a whole bunch of stuff. He doesn't follow anybody, so he won't follow you if you follow him on GitHub, but he's a pretty cool guy. Here's some of the stylistic issues, and the reason why I brought this up versus the rules that we're going to discuss in the future is because the ones that have the wrench by them, I'm going to show you what that does in the future in this presentation. But here's some stylistic issues like block spacing and array bracket spacing. So if you ever coded anything where you have to make an array in JavaScript where you have these things that are separated by commas, which is your array, that are all close together, kind of looks all messed up if there are a whole bunch of strings. So you'll end up looking like a complete sentence or something like that. And you don't want to do that if you want to make you force people to start writing better code when you do this. So what do you need to do this? Is everyone familiar with NPM? No? You don't have to raise your hand. Just nod or something. Fine. But you're going to install it globally. And then there's two ways to do it. You can actually do ESLint --init, which is actually going to ask you a series of questions. And here's some of the configuration rules, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I put this at the bottom, and I hope you can see it. It says off, warn, or error. There's three things that you can do. So you can actually turn it completely off, so that rule doesn't even apply. Or you can warn it, and it's going to look yellow, or tell you, hey, this kind of is something that you might want to consider before you start committing your stuff. Or you can error it, which it won't even pass the test. And usually I know what we do where I work is we actually put lint in part of our test, because we don't even want to have things go into the repository or into our code base if it's not going to pass the linting thing. So here's, like I said, there's three ways to configure it. Here's the first one with the popular style guide you want to choose. You can use that, or you can actually decide whether or not, I'm not going to demonstrate it because I encourage you to use this and try this out. But here's what I use Airbnb, because actually they've been using, their configuration is awesome. I'm not going to like steal it, but it's available for everybody to use. It's open source. So, where it saves your file is in JavaScript as a JS file. So here's something that I decided to show y'all, because I was talking to Ken C. Dodds on Twitter, and he was saying like, save this in your .ESLint RC, and I was like, well, I thought that was deprecated with ESLint 2.0, and then ESLint 2.0, ESLint immediately told me like it's deprecated, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. So it's cool because the community's around to let you know that you can still do these things, and there's a lot of support around this tool because it's important. And here's the file configuration formats I was telling you before. The reason why I chose JavaScript in the last configuration is because it's the highest amongst all your configurations. So I said that ESLint.rc was deprecated. It's still available for use, but if you have any of these other files available in your directory, in the rooted directory, it's going to take precedence first. So with ESLint 2.0, we encourage you to try to stay at least JS, JSON, or something other than ESLint RC. Here's your third way to configure it. You can put it in your ESLint config in your package JSON, And then when you run the script, it'll look there versus looking in your home directory, your root directory of the project for your ESLint RC file or whatever. There's a whole bunch of plugins, and I know no one actually, the reason why this is cool is because it's all pluggable. I can write something tomorrow or tonight and then make a rule or say, hey, this is how we're gonna decide we're gonna make this work. I want my spaces to be 13 spaces between each element in the array because I like 13, I don't know. But you can do that. They have React plugins. You can actually overwrite the rules with that, and they're all on NPM, so I encourage you to search them when you decide to do so. Here's some shareable ESLint configs, and this is not shameless plugs, but ETA and Trails are up there. So, we like semicolons, they don't, but talk to Balderdash about them. But we'll see what happens. We do, and that's something that's your choice. But the fact that you actually have a reason to decide that is actually pretty cool. So you're not done yet. You're set up. You think you're cool, but you're not done yet. And we thank Denzel for that heartful sigh that he decided to do. So how do I use it? I'm going to demonstrate this, but here's like the 3 ways you can do it. You can put it in your NPM scripts, and it's actually better to do that because when you decide to use Travis, CI, not this guy behind you, here you can actually run the linter tool and then run your test. You can actually use gulp ESLint, which should be your task runner, and I'm glad that you decided to speak about task runner before I got here because that's one thing you want to do. Or you can just write ESLint.extension.js, which will actually do it all the JS files in your project. So, and you also can use it in your editor. I like this because I don't have to worry about trying to see what's broke before I even fix it. It's going to tell me immediately. And what I like about that is because it's like, oh, this code's all messed up. Sucks. It's simple, but it sucks. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I can fix it inline, or I can fix it later, or I can actually run a tool to fix it. This command here, ESLint file name -- fix, is actually going to fix those things that had the wrench around them like 6 slides ago. So you can actually put that in your NPM scripts and then try to fix as much stuff before you even just look at what you did wrong when you started coding stuff. I put this up here. It's not really part of the talk, but I thought it was important. A couple months ago, I made a pull request to Trails. I can't remember where it is. I was trying to find a commit, but the spacing was off. It was like way over here. And I was using Vim because when I'm lazy, so I decided to use Vim when I'm just changing a line or something instead of going to like Atom or whatever. And but the spacing was different than it was in Atom. So there's a rule where you don't use tab spacing and tabs and spaces. But when I committed it, I was like, oh, okay, cool, it looks great in Vim, so it's gotta be good, because Vim's resident, right? No, I committed it and the script was way over here. And the person who pulled it in, Travis, actually had to fix it and decided that he was like, whoa, something's wrong with your formatting. So when I learned about this stuff, you want the same, if you're using multiple editors, you can use this config across multiple editors and actually it'll behave the same way. I don't know if you ever have any experience with Vim, but I know a lot of times it was like space versus tab. So go look that up. They actually have plugins for like Sublime, Atom, Vim, actually VS Code. Check it out. I encourage you to do so. All right, now 2.0 is what we're here to discuss. If you haven't used 1.0, this is going to be real easy for you. Just look at what I just told you. If you have used 1.0, you're going to find that there's some new rules that are with recommended, and recommended is something that you can actually use when you do your configuration. You can say, hey, I want the recommended cool ESLint stuff that all the hipsters are using, that all the cool boys are using. So like, there used to be ECMA feature flags, and all the ECMA feature flags, you used to have to put in ECMA features in 1.0. And you would say, hey, I don't want this, I want arrow functions, but I don't want modules, I want whatever. Now all that's gone with ECMA version 6. That one line decides that all those flags are going to be available with ECMA version 6. These new rules are the ones that are recommended, which are pretty cool because a lot of stuff, like no const assign. So you can't reassign const. I mean, you can't do that anyway, but I mean, it will let you know before you do this. And the reason why these SCA is important is because of the fact that you can find these things out before you actually start trying to compile your stuff. So now we're gonna do the demo. This is what that's why everybody came, right? Demo. So, okay, cool. That is not the Adam I want. That's work. Is that cool? All right. All right. This is some code I wrote because I wasn't going to get real technical. I just want you to see the errors that are coming up from this stuff. So if you look at what the editor says in Atom, it's like extra semicolon, extra semi, extra semicolon. So obviously this is something that Travis likes because he doesn't want any semicolons in his code base, right? I'm like, all right, fine. I can delete them or I can do something else, right? We don't. So it lets you know that you have 8 errors. If you actually go to the terminal and actually like write ESLint, it'll tell you all the extra semicolons and stuff like that. You can put it in your package JSON and it'll do that. If I decide to do this, all of it's gone except the unexpected console stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it's magic. That was my part. That was my party trick. That's it's over. But but basically what I did when I extended the ESLint configuration that ETA provides, and then I overrode the rules. So like 2 semicolon, the semi 2 no, 2 is error, 1 is off. I mean 1 is warning, 0 is off. So I did that just so I can show you the stuff that I wanted to do. So if I change this no console to, and it's better work because I'm in front of y'all, to 0, and then get back to the, no, not the demo, but the editor. And then now it's all gone. So if I do an ESLint again in the terminal, hold on, let me clear that. It's gonna return true. So it's good. They told me that code is pretty. So if anybody at work tries to tell you that you didn't commit pretty code and it's ugly and you use their lint rules and you can tell them you're lying, I know I'm good. Shut up. So when it works, it's yes. And that's pretty much all I have because I encourage you to use these tools that they're available because it'll help you become a better developer. It'll actually help you learn the tools and actually help you learn the language. Because there's certain things that are in the 2.0 ESLint that I didn't know about, there are people are using in production today that can transpile into stuff. What I will ask someone to do, whoever decides they want to talk in the future, is to go over ASTs, abstract syntax trees, which actually help what this is done, which Babel does, and what actually ESLint does. So if anybody wants to take the challenge, they can raise their hand, and then we can talk in the back. But other than that, I thank you, and I appreciate you being here to listen to this talk.